I just made a video all about the overview and the benefits of adaptogens. And I encourage you to watch that video. The link is in the description below. In that video, this is a response to that video, because in that video I said, hey, there is some controversial, or I have some concerns about adaptogens and maybe the overuse of adaptogens, or potentially even the misuse of adaptogens. And I want to talk about that today. So my name is Maria. I'm a midwife and an herbalist, and I'm the owner and creator of Birthsong Botanicals. And I love adaptogens. I drink them every morning almost. I give myself a break, but I drink them regularly. I've been doing these videos now, and it becomes really clear I have a few root beliefs, a few things that I'm really hold true as my center from my perspective that I value. And some of those values really stem from nourishing herbs, really stem from working with the category of herbs that feed us like food. And yes, adaptogens are nourishing herbs. I also come from the perspective, and I really value working with the herbs that grow all around us. So there are these herbs, we call them people herbs, right? People herbs. So for example, plantain or dandelion. So they were in Europe, and then they came with the settlers, and in a few hundred years they've colonized essentially the entire northern hemisphere in the United States, and down into Latin America and down into South America, right? They weren't there before, right? So they're hard workers, and they live around people. Pretty much everywhere you go, I have been in many places throughout the United States, down into Central and Latin America, and I find these herbs everywhere. I've been in other places in Europe, and they're obviously there too. So these herbs are people herbs. There's something to be said about the medicine that grows with the people. So when you walk out your front door and there's a dandelion, that's there for you, right? That medicine is there for you. Versus having this exotic plant that comes from far remote regions of the planet, that grows in this desolate, remote, hard to get to area in Siberia. That's away from people. There's a little bit, from my perspective, there's a message in that, right? Also, when you can go out and forage for dandelion or plantain, chickweed, sorrel in your backyard, right? You're not taking from a community of plants that are depleted. But when you go out hunting for ginseng, and I've been in the woods a lot, and I've only found ginseng in Arkansas very few times, and I don't always stay on the trail, that tells me that that plant does not grow in abundance in a way that I should be taking it, right? So there's some ethical, from my perspective, some ethical considerations when you're harvesting these exotic plants from far and distant regions, and when you're hunting them. So there's that. At the same time, this is like conversations have ebbs and flows, and it's a push and pull. There's not a one-size-fits-all answer. Because adaptogens grow in these harsh environments. They grow in really rugged, harsh, high altitude. Some of them are high altitude environments. And since they grow in such harsh environments, when they go inside your body, they help you thrive so that you can live in our stressful environment. So they're adapted to such a harsh place that it makes you stronger. So there's some value to that. So some people would say you should get the herb, not the cultivated herb, but you should get the wild herb in this harsh environment. From my perspective, that you're going to have to be really aware of who you're getting it from, and is it in danger? Is it safe, right? Are they depleting the population of plants? For me, that's really important. Another thing to think about with these adaptogens is that, what I want to say is that here in the United States, it's a relatively youthful country, meaning people have only lived here a couple of centuries, right? People have only farmed here a couple of centuries. But Africa, people have lived in Africa forever, since the dawn of humanity. People have lived in Europe, and the agricultural practices throughout Europe, throughout China and East Asia, for way longer than here. So that soil can be a little bit more depleted and a little bit more contaminated. So it could have heavy metals, it could have pollutants, it could have a lot of adulterants. So when you're getting these exotic plants that are from China or from India, those are typically the plants with the most adulterants. So like for us, when we're working with our herbs, every herb that comes into any one of our products is tested before you get it, and then our products are tested after. These are called certificates of analysis to confirm that they don't have these adulterants, they don't have the pesticides, they don't have the lead poisoning, they don't have a different plant, they don't have mold and contaminants, and they're not, just the lack of a better word, they're not contaminated. And that is the thing about these exotic plants that come from distant lands, is there is a high chance that they can be adulterated and contaminated. So I wanted to talk about that. And another thing is we also have this myth that adaptogens just can come on in and save the day, right? They're like this superhero. They really are. They really are amazing, and they can improve our lives in phenomenal ways. I mean, they can be prevention for cancer, they can really regulate your moods, they can lift you out of depression, they can save you from adrenal fatigue and burnout, they can keep your immune system strong. They're like these immune modulators. So there's a difference between an immune stimulator and an immune modulator. An immune modulator would be an herb that goes into a system, and now say this individual person has an autoimmune, so they have a hyperactive immune system, and then the adaptogens can go in and maybe soften it so it's not attacking everything. Or a person could have a suppressed immune system, and these adaptogens can come in and then it strengthens their immune system. So that's what it means by modulating. So it's not necessarily stimulating, it modulates so that the person's internal environment can be more harmony, more normal. So they're really amazing. I guess what I'm trying to say is we live in a culture which is a little bit different than some of our ancestors. There's this story about how stress used to either happen, and it happened like a big deal, and then once it happened, then it was either over or you were over. And what that means is like the cheetah's chasing you, and either you have to run faster than the cheetah or just faster than your friend. Because the cheetah, either you're going to escape the cheetah or the cheetah's going to eat your friend, and then you're just going to keep going, right? The stress is over, right? And then you're going to shake, and then you're going to go live your life. And so we went, in the past, we used to peak and then come back down, and then peak and then come back down. But now we live in this environment where I know all of us have experienced, where you're driving down the interstate, you have the semi right on your tail, you have the car just pulled in front of you without a turn signal, your cell phone is ringing, you're supposed to be somewhere in 20 minutes and you're 30 minutes away, and you're supposed to get there on time and act like you know what you're doing. And people live that every day, right? And so they're in this constant state of stress. So we don't have this peak in this valley. We don't know how to settle ourselves. We don't know how to breathe and slow down. So what we always want is more energy. We're always striving for more energy. Even if we're totally anxious and maxed out and about to burn out, you still hear people say, I'm exhausted, I need more energy. Right? And so then we look to these exotic herbs, and we look to these adaptogens, and we start mixing them with our coffee, and we start mixing them with these other stimulants, right? And we think that they're going to help us, but we're just burning our candle at both ends, because we think adaptogens are a one-size-fits-all, and you can just put any old adaptogen herb and give it to any person at any time and it'll work. And that, to me, is inaccurate information, and it's a myth, and it's a little bit dangerous. So I wanted to bring that to your attention, that we also have a lot of other herbs that grow out. We also have a lot of other herbs that grow out your back door that are incredibly nourishing. So that's why in my practice, like with Women's Balance, it's an herbal tea, for example. The vast majority of the herbs in here are red raspberry leaf and nettle and oat straw and lemon balm. Right? And echinacea, they all grow abundantly. You're not taking from any depleted source, right? They're so nutrient rich. They're so filling and nutritious that they fill you up in such a way that if you have a lot of nourishing herbs, then you're not going to need to rely so much on adaptogenic herbs. So in Women's Balance, it's mainly 99% or 95% nourishing herbs and then 5% adaptogenic herbs. And I feel like that is a more healthy, sustainable way to work with herbal medicine and herbal plants, and that it's cleaner, it's safer, it's nourishing. And so I'm going to leave you with that. I'm going to leave you with the consideration of where you're getting your herbs from. Are they clean? Are they safe? Are you constantly in a place where you're just trying to get more and more energy when maybe you need more minerals and to take a break? And are you taking from a depleted source? And I appreciate all of you for listening, and I know you care about this or you wouldn't have clicked this video. And so I encourage you to drink deep, my friends, and always walk in beauty.